All right, my friends, so the number one thing when it comes to doing Roth conversions or your decision in which to do that is not your actual tax bracket. It's actual the dollars you pay in taxes or the dollars you save. It's the net dollar. So I've been getting this question a lot. I want to go into a deep dive in this here tonight. So I hope you find this informative. All right, so basically what it is, we have three things you've got to consider when it comes to Roth conversions. All right, and we're going to go to an example of a guy I'm working with right now. The first is if you're married filing jointly. All right, so if you're MFJ, all right, that means you are going to be exposed to the widow's tax trap at the death of the first to go. So Josh and Charlotte, I'm a man, I'm 4 years older, I die first, and Charlotte will receive my IRA, and as such, she'll have all the same income except a little bit less of Social Security, but she'll have one less tax standard deduction. So our standard deduction will go from $27,000 to $13,600, whatever it is at that point, and her tax brackets go up. And so what I mean by that, for married filing jointly, you have basically $110,000 of AGI, and you're still in the 12% tax bracket. All right, because that's roughly $80,000 of taxable income for you to be in to stay in the 12% tax bracket. If you're single, you basically have let's see, about 55,000 of AGI to be in the 12% tax bracket. All right, so what happens now is you lose a standard deduction going from married filing jointly to single. All right, so you have Charlotte and me with 27,000 of standard deductions. If when it's just her, she loses basically half that, so she'll only have 13,300 or whatever it is, or 13,600. On top of that, any income above 55,000 here is subject to 22% taxes. All right, so we have 60,000 of taxable income. She's at the 22% tax bracket. Now the entirety won't be subject to 22%, but she is now in a 22% tax bracket with any amount of taxable income roughly above 55,000. However, when it's both she and I, all right, we can have $110,000 basically, before we're the 22% tax bracket. Not basically, literally. So in this case, that is the widow's tax trap. You lose one standard deduction, and on top of that, your tax brackets go way down, way down. They're shrunken tax brackets, which means more of your income will be subject to higher income tax rates. I hope that makes sense. A lot of people think, well, Josh, when you die, she will only have 50% of the taxable income. No, that's not true. What only thing she's going to lose when I die is the lower of the two Social Security benefits. That's it. She'll inherit my IRA. She'll have all the same income she had before. She'll lose a smaller of the Social Security benefits. So she might lose $10,000 to $15,000 of income, but it'll still be well above 60,000, so 55,000. So she'll still be well into the 22, if not 24% tax bracket as a single person, which means a less income but more taxes due because she is single. That's the widow's tax trap. All right, part two. Do you have a pension? All right. If you have a pension, it's going to be tough to make the case for Roth conversions. And the reason for that is if you don't have a pension, you're more likely to be subject to the tax torpedo when it comes to Social Security benefits. I don't want to dive into this here too much today because I've done a lot of videos on that, but just for simplicity, if you are in the 0, 10, or 12% tax bracket, and when you are on a Social Security, all right, you're in the 0, 10 to 12% tax bracket, mostly your Social Security isn't subject to taxation. However, when you take a $10,000 distribution, I'm just using that for a nice round number because it's easy to remember. When you take a $10,000 distribution, if you're in these tax brackets here, that distribution doesn't just add $10,000 to your adjusted gross income. It could add as much as $18,500 because of the tax torpedo for Social Security. So basically what has happened here is that if you're in the 0, 10, or 12% tax bracket, most likely none of your Social Security benefits are subject to taxation. The minute you take a large enough IRA to make your Social Security benefits subject to taxation, not only is the first penny subject, it could be up to 85% of your benefits are subject to taxation, which not only adds the $10,000 IRA distribution that you took out to spend for RMD or whatever, but it now increases, it adds $8,500 potentially on top of the $10,000 you took out, because now 85% of your Social Security is subject to tax. I know it's crazy. I'm not going to dive into that too much here, but that's the tax torpedo. So if you're married filing jointly, you got to worry about the widow's tax trap. If you're a low taxpayer, which probably means you don't have a taxable income, which probably means you don't have a pension, then you have to worry about the tax torpedo. Those two things you got to consider right there, whether or not it makes sense to do a Roth. So in this case, I'm working with a guy who's single. Let's erase this right here. He's single and he has a pension. And because he's single as a widower, he has his deceased wife's Social Security benefits that he's getting while he's waiting for his own benefits to keep growing with the delayed earnings credits, which is a good move. So he's getting survivor benefits. So in this case, he's single. I think he's 62. I can't remember exactly how much his pension is, but we'll just say $35,000 for simplicity. All right, so it's $35,000 pension. I just can't remember. And we'll say $25,000 survivor Social Security benefits. All right, so basically, because he's single, we don't have to worry about the widow's tax trap. He's already living with it right now, all right, because it's already done. I mean, he went from married filing jointly to a single taxpayer. Thus, the widow's tax trap is he's already engaged in that. Social Security survivor benefit, well, we don't really have to worry too much about the tax torpedo either. Let's do the quick numbers real quick. The reason is because we can see he's already going to have a bulk, if not all, of his Social Security subject to taxation. And the max you can have is 85%. So what we're going to see here is, remember, whenever you're trying to figure out your taxation on Social Security benefits, you're trying to figure out your provisional income. How much of your Social Security benefits is subject to taxation? You got to figure that out first before you figure out what your taxable income is. So in this case, we take half of the $25,000, and that's going to be $12,500. We add to $35,000, that will be $47,500. Will be his provisional income, not his AGI, not his taxable income, is provisional. The first $25,000, none of that is subject to taxation. The next $9,000, 50% of that is subject to taxation, so that's $4,500. And the next, it's at 13. It looks like 13th. That was going to be 34. 13,500. 85% of that is subject to taxation. And if I have my I got my trusty calculator here. 13,500 times 0.85. 11,000. We're just going to say 11,500 for simplicity. All right. So 11,500. 11,500 plus 4,500. 16,000 of his $25,000 of Social Security will be subject to taxation. So in this case, 16 divided by 25, 64% of his Social Security is subject to taxation. No big deal. So he has 35,000 as a pension, 16,000 Social Security, 51,000 is his AGI. All right, so 51,000 is AGI, and we're just going to say for simplicity, 13,000 is a standard deduction. So that means, what's that, 38,000 roughly, right? 51 minus 13, 51 minus 13. Yeah, 38,000 is his taxable income. So he is right at the 12% tax bracket right there. All right, so anything he gets above that, well, is going to make, well, let me just show you that. I'll show you the tax torpedo. If he took a $10,000 distribution from his IRA, all right, well, I'm going to show you what happens here. So he's at $38,000. He's at the 10% tax bracket. I mean, 12% tax bracket, right at the max. So if he took a $10,000 IRA distribution, he's got 35 from pension, 25 from Social Security, and a $10,000 IRA distribution. All right. So again, we take half the Social Security plus his pension. That gives us $47,500 plus the $10,000 IRA. $57,500 is his provisional income. Again, provisional income is decide how much of your Social Security is subject to taxation. We know the first $25,000 is nothing, zero. The next $9,000, $4,500 is. All right, and so we know it's going to be $23,500 will be subject, 85% of that is taxable. All right, so $23,500, and this might make his whole, the entirety of his Social Security benefit taxable. Let's see. All right, so $23,500 times 0.85, It's 20,000 bucks. Yeah, so 85% of his Social Security will be subject to taxation here. So we know 0.85. So 21,250 will be subject to taxation. So let me show what I'm talking about. All right, so 21,250. So in this case, an IRA, a $10,000 IRA distribution, increased his AGI. Let me show what I'm talking about here. All right. So that $10,000 IRA distribution that he took in 21,250 is now his taxable Social Security. So we take 35,000 pension, 10,000 IRA, 21,250. We'll just say 21,000 for simplicity. 21,000. That means we got 66,000 bucks. So his gross income AGI is 66,000. So basically, what happened was he increased his taxable income, his AGI, from 51,000 to 66,000. So he increased his adjusted gross income by 50%. So it went up by 15,000, even though he only took a $10,000 IRA distribution. I cannot stress this enough. Here was his AGI with no IRA distribution, 51,000. Here is his AGI now with a $10,000 IRA distribution. Do you see the difference? AGI with no IRA distribution, AGI with a $10,000 distribution. 66 minus 51 is $15,000. He increased his AGI by 15,000, even though he only had what? A $10,000 IRA distribution. And that's the evil of the tax code. But be as it may, the question still remains, should we do Roth conversions? Well, that's the problem we have with this guy here. He is already in the tax trap, the tax torpedo. So if he were to do Roth conversions, in this case right here, a $10,000 IRA distribution is a $10,000 Roth conversion. It's the exact same thing. You can do a $10,000 IRA distribution to go gamble at Las Vegas. You could do $10,000 IRA distribution to put a new shingles on. You could do a $10,000 IRA distribution to sniff up your nose. You could do a $10,000 IRA distribution to do a Roth conversion. Either way, $10,000 is coming out of your IRA. In this example here, that's going to increase his taxable income by his AGI by 15,000 bucks. All right, so that's not good, man. That's not good. That's the tax torpedo. So he's already in the tax torpedo. There's nothing we can do about it. Nothing we can do about it. So he's single with a pension. He's already in the tax torpedo. He's already in the widow's tax trap. Should he do Roth conversions? And I don't think so. And here's what we're going to go into now as well, because he's already in the tax torpedo. He is already in the widow's tax trap. So the question is, what benefit will it serve for him to do Roth conversions? So what he'll say, the last thing we got to say, all right, so we're going to say, are you married? No. Pension? Yes. All right. Tax rates, future tax rates. Up. All right, so in this case, he's got one XX check because the future tax rates are going up. So he's sitting there thinking, I should do Roth conversions because the future tax rates are going up. We know for a fact, most likely it's going to go from 22 to 25, from 24 to 28, from, 28 now to, was it 28, 20, 24, 28? I can't remember. What's that? It's 28 now, I think. Is it 28? No, it's 33, right? 33 to 35. I can't remember. Mostly I'm just focused here, right here. So we know that because the Trump tax bill is going to go away, it's going to sunset in 2025, most likely the tax rates are going up. So his concern is, pay, let's use an example, $100,000. I'd rather pay $22,000 in taxes today to avoid $25,000 in 5 years, if that makes sense. So he says, I'd rather save $3,000 of taxes. But see, here's the problem, man. It's not going to be that smooth. $100,000 today might not be $100,000 in the future. This is where it gets dicey. And the fact that these two things right here are X's says, I don't think you should do that. So let's look into this. So let's say it does a $100,000 Roth conversion. It's $22,000 in taxes today. All right, so he's going to be net with, we're not going to use any state. So it'd be net with $78,000. All right, so let's just say, I don't know, we're going to say it grows at a clip of, we'll double it. We'll just use that for example. 7.2% a year for 10 years. This will grow to $78,000. It'd be what, 156,000? 78 times 2. Yeah, 156,000. All right. All right, so it's 156,000 in 10 years. So he's made $78,000 tax free, because we're going to say he had the 22,000 taken out from the IRA. It's worth 156,000 in 10 years. That looks like a pretty good deal, right? Well, the problem is, what if we just put 100,000 left that there, $100,000, and it grew to 7.2% a year as well. Now we're at 200,000. All right, but now he's got to pay tax on that 200,000 at 25%. So what's going to happen here, because the tax rates have gone up? So that was net, and here's gross. So we're going to lose what's that? We're going to lose $50,000. So now we're at 150,000. So he is down $6,000 in 10 years in that same scenario. Because before he paid 22% on the $100,000, it grew at 7.2, and now he's paying 25% on the total growth. So he's out $6,000. But is he truly out $6,000? Well, the answer is yes, if you look at it like a vacuum like that. But who's to say he has to take the whole entirety of that $200,000 out? He won't, man. He'll only be 72 years old at that point. So at that point, 72 years old, his RMDs are only 3.8%. So you see what I'm saying? So he can spread that $25,000 income out over many, many years. 25% income tax out over many years. He's only at 3.8% distribution. So he's not taking one lump sum like here. Just not. Even though he's in a higher tax bracket, he's only have to take 3.8% the first year. All right, so 3.8% the first year. 200,000, that's what, $7,600 times 3.8%. Yeah, $7,600. So it's going to take him 4 years, or 3 years essentially, with just RMDs before he even had the same amount of taxation he did up here when he took the Roth out. But here's the big concern I have. A lot of people, I think, miss this. All right, so what if we... Here's the big one. So that right there isn't a slam dunk as much as you think. That's assuming a pretty good rate of return. It's, you know, he's going to save some money, but at the end of the day, it's you're talking a couple extra $1,000 of taxable income for 10 more years of having access to that money. All right, and then on top of that, you can spread the tax rates over a couple more years. So it's going to be basically going to take 13 to 14 years before the Roth works more beneficially to him in that category right there, going from 22% to 25%. That's just a long time. However, on the other hand, what if that $100,000, all right, and now he pays 12%, he pays 22% tax, it's worth $78,000. What if the market falls, or what if it stays flat, or falls? Let's say 20%. Gotta get my trusty calculator. 78,000 times 0.2. It's down to 62,400. All right, so 62,400 is what it's at now after paying the taxes and the market decline. If you just would have left it in the IRA, it's at $80,000. You see what I'm saying? So now what happens is, now we're going to say it doubles at 7.2%. All right, so over the next 10 years, it's going to go to 7.2. So this will be worth 160 at a 25% tax bracket, and this will be worth 120. We'll just say, what's that, 125? 115. Let's see what it would be worth here. 62.4 times 2, 125. Yeah, I had that. So we got 125 here. All right, so 160,000 at 25%. 160 minus 25%. So that'll be worth 120. Again, even that, it's only a $5,000 difference. That's it. But what if the market never goes back up? What if it just stays flat? What if it goes Japan style and only grows at 1% a year? You see what I'm saying? I mean, that's where the issue is. If the market just stays flat or goes down after you pay the tax, you don't know it's going to go back up. So is it worth it to lose that money, that $22,000, where the gain you might get an extra $5,000 later on? That's 10, 15 years from now. If you have married filing jointly and no pension, yeah, it would be worth it. There's lots of different ways to be worth it, but in this case, I don't see that's beneficial. What if the market stays flat and you're out? Let's just do that for example. So now the market stays flat. All right, so you do $100,000 in a Roth. You're paying $22,000 in taxes. Now you got $78,000, and we'll just say the market's flat. All right, just beep, 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 beep. All right, now you got $100,000 in the traditional IRA. We're assuming you invest the same way, is what I'm trying to say. It stays flat, it's at $100,000, and you're still paying $25,000, essentially is what I'm trying to get at. So now you're at $75,000 versus $78,000, so you're still better off here, but that's way down the road. I don't know, man. It doesn't seem, I don't think that's enough benefit at all to do it. Not in the least. It's got to be more than that. Now, some people say, well, I know the tax would go way high. I know, and don't forget, you don't have access. This is the thing that stinks. Once you do this taxes and you lose that $22,000, that $22,000 is gone. You don't have access to it anymore, man. It's gone. If the market turns against you, you can't tell the IRS, I want a do-over. You used to be able to do that. You can't do that anymore. Here you got $100,000. Yeah, you got to pay tax on it, but what if your income tax falls off a cliff for whatever reason? Who knows what could happen? I just don't see a huge benefit there, my friends. If you're married, if you're not married, if you got a pension, even if the tax rates go from 22 to 25, I don't see a huge benefit in that. I don't. Now, I'm not here to tell you you should not do it if you want to. The guy I'm working with now, he's probably going to do $25,000 a year. We can't make the numbers work to be magical, and we can't make them not to. It is what it is, man. I said, if you want tax diversification, I got no qualm with that. But we're not going to solve any huge tax problems by doing Roth conversions for the guy in that category. Or a lady in that category. We're just not. All you're going to do is ultimately, for every $100,000, you're potentially going to pay $3,000 to $5,000 less in taxes 10 to 15 years from now. That might be a big deal, and that doesn't seem like a huge deal to me, to be without $22,000 on the front end and hoping that I'm going to recapture that 10 to 15 years from now. Hope that makes sense. Remember, a bird in the hand is always better than two in the bush. When I spend $22,000 today on taxes, I'm doing it under the auspices I will recoup that and make some money in the future. I'm losing $22,000 now and the hope to gain $3,000 to $5,000 10 to 15 years from now. That just does not seem like a good investment to me at all. I hope this makes sense. Would love to hear comments. Thanks now.